Hi Capricorn, it's Majori here from the Punk Priestess, and welcome to your March Tarotscope. So we're going to get into the reading. I have a mixture of tarot, oracle, and astrology decks. We're just going to be mixing and matching. And what I'm going to start out with here is a signifier. So this is just the main energy circulating you right now, and yeah, we're going to get into the reading. Don't you love that my deck is matching my sweater? I love a moment like that. It's great. But it's interesting. You might be a little depleted. You might be going through a little bit of a shift right now because Mars and Venus were in Capricorn, were in your sign for a while. Especially Venus. Venus was in your sign for 4 months, and that's a really long time for Venus. And I feel like for you, it was great, but there was also a lot of delays and also a lot of dissatisfaction probably with that energy. So, it was either it worked for you or it didn't. But now we have these planets in Aquarius. So we're going from Earth to air. And then the last remaining planet we have in your sign is Pluto. And that's going to shift into Aquarius as well in a couple weeks. So definitely you might be feeling it. You might be feeling a little bit of that ending energy coming through. And I'm pulling here the Eight of Pentacles upright, and I'm pulling anger. I don't know what it is if you have earth signs. Like I read for Virgo, I read for Taurus, your sisters, and you guys are going through a hard time this month, which you shouldn't really, because you do very well in water. Water is your opposite element, so you do really well during Pisces season, but for some reason you guys are struggling. So we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna decode it. We're gonna heal through it. We're gonna see what's going on. So for you, we have the Eight of Pentacles, and this is work stuff. You're probably just wondering, like, how long is this chapter gonna be? How long do I have to work? How long do I have to study until I get my reward? Until I get to do what it is that I want to do? It's like you're in the motions. You know you got to do this. You know you can't bypass this part of your life. You know you got to go through the motions, and this is the steps. These are the procedures. You got to do it. And you work well with instruction. You work very well with instruction. You don't mind sometimes the structure and the system and the order, but you also need invention. You also need kind of a creative outlet, or like a way to kind of give you some sense of purpose. It's not just the manual. It's not just the instruction. And for you, you really got to think about working smarter and not harder. That is the Capricorn motto. Work smart, not hard. And for you, you might be working hard. You got to think about, like, get your, intelligence back in the game of how you can really metanize on a lot of this stuff. And thinking about, well, instead of doing this, what if I did it this way? How can this, speed up the process, but it's still giving you the results? Of course, you're not going to be one to cut corners. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you got to think like a Capricorn. You got to think about how you can get what you want in a timely manner that is still correct. You're still coming correct, but you have to find a way that's going to work for you, because you are getting bored. You're probably just like, you're a little worker bee right now. But you got to have some element of fun. You can't cover up this cosmic, mystical magic completely. You can build around it. But, as you're flying to get your honey, maybe go to a different garden. What if you ventured 5 miles out in a different direction? What flowers might you find there? What can you pollinate there? Maybe the honey would be sweeter on another side. You kind of have to leave some room and some space open for interpretation and have some fun, allow some mystery, and allow people into your life that can help you with this process. It can kind of show you a new perspective on how to do things, because you can't be all work and no play. That's not the Capricorn way. Capricorns love to work. Capricorns love, to be, climbing up that hill. Like the quest, the chase is very, very, very attractive to you. You really like to have a goal, and working towards that and being ambitious towards it. But you have to also realize that you got to have fun along the way. It can't just be like climb, because you have a watery, fishy tail. So it's like you're earthy, but you're spiritual, and you have to really connect with that spiritual side and open up and explore that curiosity. That's the only way you're going to make it through without self-destructing. You got to, consult your tarot cards. You got to, believe in some type of magic in your life and incorporate that, because that might be what you're missing, which is why there's some anger and some resentment. Maybe you're angry. Maybe you're like, fuck, why did I get in this industry? Why did I do this? It's so much work. It's not fun. And I don't see the reward coming anytime soon. And I thought I was going to be CEO by now. And all this stuff. And it's just like, you have to realize that if you incorporate some type of spiritual balance, some type of creativity, and it can be love, it can be romance. If you incorporate some type of fun, it's going to make this quest and this voyage so much easier. I'm going to pull from my own personal experience to kind of help you with this, but I was in New York City for 9 years working in the fashion industry, very cutthroat industry. And I was moving up, I became a senior designer over that time. And, honestly, I think the reason why I stayed so long is because I was doing fun stuff on the side. It wasn't just all work and no play for me. I was going to concerts. I was going to restaurants. I was hanging out with friends. I was, going on dates and, just having a lot of fun, and also traveling. I was as much as I could. And of course I was building my business on the side, but as much as I could, I was trying to balance both worlds. And that honestly helped me stay so long in an industry that now, I'm no longer in, it's no longer for me. But it's just like, I wasn't angry really, because I allowed myself to have fun and have play, and I let people in my life. And you're so fixated on the work, you're so fixated on what you need to do, but you're not really doing it. It's like you're doing it to do it, but you're not really invested emotionally. You're not really inspired. And that's the problem. And I think that's also a root of your anger, is you're not finding a way to work smarter. You're just working harder. You're not finding a way to have connection. You feel like your life's kind of empty right now, and we don't want that. We don't want that for you. So you'll get your reward, but you won't be able to get it if you're angry. All right, just pulling some tarot here. Sorry, that was a long spiel, but I had to get the message out. Had to deliver it. Wow, 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 wow. We have some money coming through here. All right, so this is what I pulled. Let me bring this down a little bit. So what I pulled here is the Nine of Swords upright. Pulled the Page of Coins upright, and then the Nine of Wands reversed. So let's start off with this Nine of Swords. The nines are coming through here. So it's like there's this completion cycle that wants to happen. There's this portal that kind of wants to close. It's Pisces season. There's a lot of endings right now. Nine of Swords is just, fear. It's like false evidence appearing real. That is what fear means. And for you, you got to get out of your head. If you're having nightmares, if you're having worries, if you're like, I'm not going to be prepared, this isn't going to work out, or it's so stressful, I can't do this. And it's like, well, that's not manifesting in your reality. It's going to manifest in your reality if you continue to uphold that sense of false belief and that fear-based mentality. But you really just got to realize a lot of your fears, a lot of some of this anger that you might be having, and some resentment is not really what's happening in your waking life. And it's Pisces season, it's delusion. We're not rooted in reality. We don't really know what's real. There's a lot of confusion, disillusionment right now. But for you with this Nine of Swords, you really have to realize that all these fear-based things are not mirroring your reality. And you could be, isolating people in the process, because if you're so afraid to go after what you want because you're thinking it's going to be hard versus a challenge that hasn't even manifested yet, you're setting yourself up for failure, and you're just going to add more to the anger. And I know maybe you're going through a lot, and you think a way to kind of figure out some of this stuff, the situation is through work, and you might be diving yourself into work, but you're just pushing your emotions to the side. You really need to emotionally open up and be available and let people in, because that can kind of help you redefine what you're doing and give you a new sense of purpose. But you need to stop with the fear-based mentality. You can't have this stuff keeping you up at night. You really have to move forward and try to find, you need to turn on the light. You need to turn on the light when it gets dark. Page of Coins upright. Newness, new opportunities. It can be a little immature. Maybe you don't really know exactly how it's going to be, but it seems interesting. It seems promising. It can, grow to something, which is why it's very important to not cut yourself off from opportunity. Even if you feel like it's another thing. It's another thing you got to do. It's another, new way of thinking. It's another commitment to your time and energy. Well, what could be the reward though? And a lot of this is like with other people. It's like maybe you need to take on a mentorship role and mentor people who are interested in the same thing as you. Maybe it's time for you to step up and be a leader. Or maybe it's time for you to think about, someone as an investment down the line. It's like, well, if you nurture and cultivate this type of energy and and like maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a relationship that's new and you're wondering if it's going to be purposeful down the line. We are not going to know until you put a little bit of an investment in it, and it could, end up being an incredible thing. But you really have to, in order for you to get to this Page of Coins energy, you got to move past the fear of things not working out, of things being a waste of time, of things not being what, you think they're going to be. The fear blocks opportunity. The fear blocks you from moving forth in a new path, because there's so much abundance. There's so much abundance that can be available to you if you just move past fear, and then you get some of this anger and resentment out of your system. Because you're isolating yourself. There's a lot of isolation. A lot of this isolation for you is internal and mental. And yeah, you're just like out there living life. You're working on your career, or like you're studying, you're doing whatever it is you need to do, but you're not really connected to it. And you need to find connection again. You need to make amends. You need to, be truthful. You need to just be honest with yourself and be like, I kind of want to do this. Even though it's maybe more work, or maybe I don't really have necessarily the time to do it, but I know if I do this, I will set myself up for, more prosperity down the line, more abundance, and it can actually turn to something like really great. The investment might be, small at first, but you have to build the portfolio. It's just like, investing in stocks, or, education, for example. It's like, you got to go to, like, if you go to college, like there's 4 years, and when you're in year 1, it's helping you get to year 4 and graduating. You got to start thinking about things as like, the work that you do will pay off. Anything that you put your time and energy towards will be an investment. Sometimes it'll be a quicker investment than you'll think. 9 of Wands reversed here. You're so close. You're so close to completion, but there's some delays. Things are taking, a lot longer than what they should, because your mind is not in the right place. We want to get this 9s. We want to get this 9s upright. We want to get this 9 reversed. We want to flip them. But right now you're just so fixated. Like, you need to get out of your mind right now. And it's not going to get easier with Mercury, because Mercury is currently in Aquarius. It's going to shift into Pisces. So it's going to be more delusion. It's going to be more confusion, more discernment. And you can't move with ego at this time. You got to put your ego aside. And I think that's another challenge, another reason why you're having some obstacles and delays, is because you're trying to move with your ego through a time of spiritual growth. And you can't have ego and spirituality connecting and working together. You got to set aside your ego. You got to realize that there's so much that is unseen that you cannot control. That is why you need to set aside your anger and your frustration as to why something's not working, and re-strategize and figure out, well, why is it not working? Maybe because you're thinking negative. Maybe it's because you aren't listening to your truth. Maybe because you're having fear overpower your chance of magic, your chance of love, your chance of connection. Maybe you honestly don't really like what you're doing, and now you're like, oh, I spent all this time and energy doing this and I got to do it now. Well, that's a problem. So you got to really figure out, you have to re-strategize. Now is your break to re-strategize, because once Aries season starts on March 20th, you're not going to really have a break to be like, oh, I got to make changes. I got to, you know, do these things. Like you're like, time is running out for you. You really need to like think today. You got to cut the bullshit and be like, you know, I'm the one who's in my own way. These people are not the problem. These people want to be in my life and want to help me, and I'm pushing them off my path, and because I'm frustrated or because I think I don't have time, I don't want to mess it up. But it's like you're messing things up the more you delay. You're messing things up the more that you don't listen to your heart and you don't do what you need to do. Oracle cards. Yeah, you earth signs. You're killing me. Very, very challenging right now. And it's hard for you. It's hard for you to not see tangible results. But you got to realize, like, not all the results are concrete. You can't always, you know, have a material money manifestation of the work that you do. Because a lot of the work is internal. You can't neglect yourself. All right. Got some good messages coming through. So I have Tribe of Dreams here. Tribe of Dreams in connection to the Nine of Swords. I have Ball. Six ball. And then kneel before no one. There's a throne here. So let's start off with Tribe of Dreams. You got to start thinking about, you know, I don't really like to use the word tribe because it's like disrespectful to indigenous tribes here in, you know, North America. But it is, you know, like coven. What is your coven of dreams? Who are your group of people? And with all this Aquarius energy, you're going to be thinking about energy. You're going to be thinking about, you know, you're working at this company for so long or this place. Are these the type of people you want to continue building relationships with? You're going to be thinking about that. Like, what kind of energy do you want to have in your life? What kind of energy, you know, sets your heart on fire or excites you or that you want to be around? What helps you grow and helps you create? You know, yes, some energy is purposeful for certain elements of your life, but you really have to start thinking about, you know, what type of energy you want to align yourself with so that you always feel like you're growing. You always feel like there's opportunity. Like, what energy do you want in your life? And I think that will kind of help offset some of this Nine of Swords energy, kind of refocus some of that negativity that you might be going through. Because when you like think about and just dream, like, I don't know why you're so afraid of dreaming. Like, dream, fantasize. It's the time to do it. Dreaming and thinking about your ideal relationship, your ideal, you know, friends or, you know, work environment, like the type of connections and people you want to have in your life. And you'll align yourself with that. And I think for you, you got to start thinking about, especially when it comes to like working relationships, how do you want your coworkers to be? How do you want your boss to be? What personalities do you want to surround yourself with? What's going to help you grow? What's going to be an energy or what's going to be always happy to be around and always feel like it's inspiring and motivating? You got to think about that. That's going to offset some of this confusion for you. 6 ball. You got to move the ball back into your court. Or if it's in your court, or if it's in someone else's court, you got to take it. But it's like you got to reclaim some harmony in your life. 6 is the number of harmony. And, you know, it's also my favorite number too. It's a great number. I mean, it could be occult-ish if you want as well, which I think is also great. But, you know, you have to reclaim a sense of harmony in your life, a sense of harmony in the balance of, you know, the work and the personal life. And with this, it's like you got to reclaim the ball. You have to, you know, pick it back up. You got to bounce it around and you got to see how it's going to perform. You need to reclaim your power because you are a Capricorn. You kneel before no one. Capricorn is daddy energy. Like, very strong. It's very powerful. It's very authoritative. It is authority. And for you, you got to realize, like, you know, you're like a boss. You got to sit on your throne and you don't kneel before anyone. You don't take shit. You don't back down. You have to reclaim your ball. You have to reclaim your power. And you also got to make sure that the people around you are supporters. They're going to give you opportunity. You're not just doing this for nothing, because you might be feeling like you're working, and you're like, when is my payoff? When is it going to be the time for me to sit on that throne? And it's like, well, the throne is always there. You just are so fixated on the wrong things that your throne's empty, gathering dust. So you need to reclaim your power and be like, you know what, fam, I've been at this company for 2 years. I haven't been promoted. It's not working out. You got to go somewhere else where you can be in that position. You can be on that throne. Like, you got to start thinking about like the investment that you're having. Yes, you know, you have to work hard. You have to do the things, but you also have to make sure that there's growth available to you when you get to that level in that place. You can't just keep on working for nothing. That's a waste of your time. And I think you're realizing that, which is why some of the anger. And make things easier for yourself. It's like, why are you doing the things you're doing? Are you doing it because you love it? Like, this is your purpose? Or are you just doing it because of money? Are you doing it because of, you know, a status? You're very status driven. You know, are you doing it so you can be CEO, but then you don't even like care about what you're doing? You know, it's just like, you got to reprioritize a lot of things. Lots of the things you need to reprioritize. All right, so what? I'm pulling here February for a month for timing. And then I'm pulling Taurus, your sister sign. So let's think about this. So we have February, and, you know, for you, like, what was going on in February? You got to reclaim some of that February energy that you've been kind of losing and missing out on in March. You know, what in February, you know, what did February teach you? What do you want? What kind of energy do you want to get back from February? Or maybe you want to leave February in the past. Maybe that wasn't a good month for you. But just kind of thinking about like the past energy that just surfaced. Like, what was beneficial that got you here today? And what do you need to continue that maybe you stopped continuing back in February? You need to bring that energy, bring that motivation, bring that spark, whatever it is, that energy back into March. Taurus season around the corner, April, May. So for you, you got to think about, you know, you have it kind of easy because you've had so many of the planets for so much already of this year in your sign. And then you have a little break of water and air, and then you're getting back into your earth energy of Taurus. So it's a little unfair. So it's just kind of like, you know, you're putting so much like pressure on yourself. It's unnecessarily. You shouldn't honestly be struggling this hard. I'm disappointed in you, Capricorn. No, I'm kidding. But it's like, you really shouldn't be struggling this hard, which is why you really need to kind of get rid of some of this like minor confusion fuckery that is blocking your path. And think about, you know, you want to be free. You want to be out of this cage by the time Taurus season comes around, your sister sign. You want to feel good. And honestly, think of Taurus as a landmark for you. If you don't get the results you're seeking by Taurus, by April, by May, you got to change course. You got to restructure and rethink about your journey and refigure it out. But in the meantime, of course, work on some of this stuff, work on some of the anger, work on some of the disappointment, work on the fear-based mentality, work on trying to work smarter, not harder. Because by the time Taurus season comes around, you don't want to be dealing with this mess. It's not fair to you, and it's like you need to get going on things. Like, once Aries season starts, I mean, you know, you're not going to be able to sleep. But it's just like with Taurus, you really have to think about how you can try to manifest and get as much change as you can, getting out of this cycle. Yes, it's a hard time. It's not fun. It's not good. It's, you know, it's the 8 of Pentacles. It's not like the coolest energy, but it's like, you want to keep having this happen, or do you want to just decide for yourself, you know what? This journey is coming to an end. It's time for me to sit on my throne now. I'm applying to this company. I'm applying here, and I'm going to get this position. I'm going to make my investment worthwhile. Like, I'm done. It's time. I can't do this anymore. Frustration. Reclaiming the ball and putting that in your court, and making sure the people that you have in your life are on this journey with you and the investing with you and supporting you. And if they're not, you got to cut ties. So that is a very blunt and honest reading for you, Capricorn, for March. Hopefully, next month will be better. But, you have a lot to do. So get to moving. See you next month.